In this next section, we'll review the construction plane feature and its logic inside Rhino. Note that Rhino refers to construction plane as both the construction plane and cplane for shorthand, but either term means the same thing. Without the use of a construction plane, you might not be able to build much of anything, so that's how important it is to the software. So without a construction plane, Rhino would not know where you were clicking and get really confused. So let's take a look and build a few simple objects to demonstrate. First off, I want to point out that the interface is in 3D with all these different views, and we have 3 dimensions, X, Y, and Z, with corresponding construction planes for those 3 dimensions. So for example, in the top view, our construction plane is flat on the ground. In the front view, it is facing towards you, matching that view. And on the right, it's another construction plane rotated 90 degrees, but there's only 3 of them. The only exception to this rule is in perspective, we're using the top construction plane. Now, just a brief aside, the construction plane can be modified, moved, yes, but also its representation is these little squares. That is the grid. So one is used to display the other. Let's go check briefly the settings of our grid and look where you can change those. We'll explore it in more detail a little bit later. So I'm going to go Tools, Options. Grid's up here at the top. So if these needed to be modified for any reason, you could change the number of lines, the count, the spacing, and the snap spacing as well. You can have it be affecting one viewport or all. I'll just leave the settings as they were. Okay, a couple basic rules. There's only 2. These are fairly universal. I already mentioned, but it's worth repeating. You can only see one construction plane at a time in each viewport. So not only can you only see one, you can only use one at a time in each viewport. The second rule is that the construction plane is your default location for anything you do, whether it's creating geometry or moving geometry or rotating it, except for if you have O-snaps on. So then it will use those O-snaps to move it or align it with those settings versus just going on the construction plane. So think of your construction plane as your default location when there's no O-snaps telling it where to go. I'm going to demonstrate this feature. So we're going to have 2 viewports open here. I want to draw a line in the front view, kind of watch what happens in the other views. So the line I'm going to draw is going to be a freeform curve here, control points. Zoom out a bit and notice it is staying on a flat plane, but as I get close to any other geometry, it starts snapping forward and backwards. So the O-snaps are kicking in. So you'll notice from the top view and the right view, it's just all of a sudden getting really crazy. And if we complete this, so let's just say this is some terrain it was going to land on. I wanted to make a shape out of that later. This is actually not a problem, since this is a great way to work. It looks perfect from one view, so you're actually totally cool. What we need to do, though, is flatten that out. That's not very usable, kind of jumping forward and backwards. So there's a very simple command I want to introduce you to. Transform, project to the C-plane. Before I launch the command, just make note, it's going to work only in one viewport, and that's the current one highlighted, which is the front viewport. So let's just start it now. There's only one question. You want to delete the input. Yeah, it's the crooked curve, so we're going to get rid of the crooked one and only keep the flattened one. So I'll hit yes. So kind of watch the top view, right view. It is perfectly flattened out. So back to the front view where I drew it, it doesn't look any different. And actually, I was able to use some snapping to help me get it where I wanted. So let's just move that down. There might be some terrain it's trying to land on. Let's do a quick extrusion just for fun. Surface extrude curve straight. Use the both ways option. So you can use this technique to get stuff flattened out when it's snapping too much. Okay, let's talk about moving the construction plane. I'm going to maximize the perspective viewport here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this geometry. Taking up a little too much space. So I said you can only have one, but I didn't say you can't move them around. So I'm going to put the C-plane toolbar active right here if it's not already. So we are in the top view construction plane, but we're in a perspective viewport. So we can change it to maybe the front viewport. So everything I draw now will be on that flat plane. Let's do a quick little demo. Pretty cool. We can just jump around in this software and put stuff wherever we want and not be constrained to the 3 construction planes that Rhino gives us. We can always customize and move these around at any time. If you've moved this a few times and you want to get back to the original, don't worry. These are all the universal resets. You notice they say world Those are the ones that are default. You can always get back to those very easily. Let's now move the construction plane to something that's not one of the built-ins. Okay, let's say I want to do a little bit of work on this radar dish. So over here we can move the origin to anywhere we want, anywhere we can snap to. So you can see the X and Y axes ready to go. So that is our new default place for geometry. So I can maybe work on some new features and continue building, and everything will be on the construction plane unless it snaps. That's your ordinary top view construction plane, which we just brought up. Let's do something a little more crazy. I've got a piece of geometry here. Let's say I want to add some detail to this tip of this radar dish. So we can select any object which has got a flat face on it. And then we're going to use this command, set the C-plane to an object. Initially, this is very confusing. So just try to zoom in and ignore all the other crooked stuff everywhere else. So you can start drawing new features there. And again, if you get confused or disoriented, you can always just use these universal world resets. Get it back down to the original spot. The C-plane is one of the most fundamental modeling aids in any 3D software. Rhino allows you to change the location and orientation of the C-plane for any view, but remember that you can only have one active C-plane per view at a time. If this idea of moving or customizing a C-plane is a little too advanced for your comfort level, then it's always good practice just to build objects centered on the origin. Then you can use the transform commands to move or rotate them into its final position.